do here on this program. Of course, we have the conversation, and before the conversation, we usually look at the headlines, those interesting juicy stories from our daily, the major daily. Every day, FEMI Ojo is my name. Gives me great pleasure to know that you are there joining us at this time, either on our StarTimes channel 190 PTT or on our YouTube channel, in which we are live right now at Western Spring Television and all the social media platforms as well. Same Western Spring Television. Thank you for being here. And of course, I'm not alone. I'm like the Liverpool slogan, never walk alone. Good morning, Evelyn.
And amazingly, you have a Liverpool fan right here.
Oh,
and that's why you won't walk alone. Good morning, Femi. How are you doing? Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, world. It's another beautiful day. Yes. Woke up this morning and I got out into the day and I saw how beautiful the day is. And I'm like, oh, yeah, amazing. You know, sometimes you just have to take in all of that beauty and taking all of that positive energy for the day. That's
the fresh air.
Yeah, and that kind of actually tells how your day pans out. You know, it might not be 100% accurate, but then the energy you take in the morning actually
positivity.
Yes, releases until the end of the day. My name is EVELYN OHIOLEI. Welcome to Morning Spring, where we'll do it again today, interrogating critical and topical issues right here that happened in the last 24 hours or that has happened in our country and beyond. It's a beautiful day, like I said, and we are grateful to God for life. And, you know, before we came on board, Femi, you were telling me about that young lady in Obafemi Awolowo University that did a marathon washing.
Talking about breaking of records, setting of new ones.
Yes, and we thought we were past that. Wow. Probably she kind of was encouraged or inspired by our president. Remember, President Bola Tinubu said that with how he got into office, the first day of office, he started policy reforms and all of that. He should be in the Guinness
World Record
Book of World Records, and maybe she got inspired, but then washing for 58 hours is no joke.
It took a toll on the 200-level student of Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Subair Eliton. You know, Iton means story, legacy, you know, kind of where possibly she's trying to write a new one.
I mean, that's a story she can tell our kids.
58 hours of hand wash-a-thon, like continuous washing. And then at least she has ended it, by the way, and then we learn she's in the hospital, you know, exasperation, tiredness, fatigue, and then you need to see her hands. Did you see her hands?
Yes, I don't think that's actually surprising because normally if you wash
for a few
hours, you see how your hands get wrinkled, your hands get white,
like
because
you have shorted your blood or something.
You know, your hands are dipped into inside chemicals for a long time, and she did for 58 hours. That's no joke. But
that thing was scary.
But I don't think it should be life-threatening.
Yeah,
I feel she's in the hospital, and definitely the doctors will get to work. Yes,
but for what it's worth, she gave it a push to try to, you know, incarnate the Guinness World Records, and then she will be hoping that she got it right, because it now behoves on the Guinness World Records team to verify, to vet and everything, so they could give her a pass mark. By the way, not long ago, Hilda Bassey was celebrated for Cookathon before she got dethroned a few weeks ago. But then, whatever you know how to do, and in fact you are inspired by adage and holy book saying, whatever your hand finds to do it well.
And that's literally for any time, because our hands
exactly. I see what you did there.
Working.
What our hand has found, she has really done it.
But then I kind of have an issue with the fact that in Nigeria we just like to jump on things when we see that you know, after the Hilda Bassey's feat, we had a lot of Nigerians coming to do cook-a-thons, some kiss-a-thon.
Yeah.
I remember a guy wanted to do sex-a-thon, but it was cancelled. That was in Ekiti State. It was cancelled. But I have an issue with the fact that Nigerians, we are, I mean, we are great people, but then we have to stop this thing of always jumping on the bandwagon when, you know, it's trending. It's not, let me use the word of the Gen Zs, it's not given ingenuity.
Really? For the Gen Z vibe, it's not given, right?
It's not given ingenuity.
The thing is, we should always think everything we want to do through. Think it through. Not just for the fame. Do it well, do it rightly. For whatever it is, when you check the Guinness World Records books, you will see many funny, bizarre, weird, awkward kind of stories and attempts. You know, they were all done by human beings. But then for Nigerians, we should think it through. Whatever you want to do it well. Was what doing at all.
It's what
doing well. Of course, we'll go to the headlines, but that will be after this break. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Now we go straight to the headlines, starting with the Blueprint newspaper this morning. Let's see what we've got here. Major headline here: as Tinubu addresses NAS Wednesday, as Tinubu addresses NAS Wednesday, FEC okays AFDB's $1 billion support loan for 27.50 trillion naira 2024 budget estimates. And pegs exchange rate at 750 naira to a dollar, crude oil at $77.96 per barrel. FG approves 3.23 billion naira explosive narcotic detection scanners for 5 airports. More details of that is on page 6. And of course, FG to unveil blueprint on nationwide digital switchover. Malagi says Tinubu retains Kyari NNPCL GCO, names Ogbodo, others non-EDs. That full details is on page 5. Now they're set to crush maize, rise prices. We'll see how they're able to do that. But of course, it's a welcome development, especially for Nigerians.
The thing is, why are they always set to? We will. We have that plan. Is it possible that we just see these things happening and then we tell our people, oh, this is already happening? I have issues with when people in government say we are set to, we will, we are considering, we are muting the idea.
You know, that's to tell you that there is a plan before the actualization of the plan. So, I mean, and Nigerians, we are always so, I mean, our leaders are always so excited about the plans. Before the actual thing. So it's a Nigeria thing, I think. All right, away from that, CJN judges do not succumb to mob mentality in deciding cases. Supreme Court handles 1,271 cases in 10 months, delivers 251 judgments. And, you know, lots of Nigerians are saying that's a whole lot, 1,271 for the cases for the apex court of the country. And we had the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Olukayode Ariwoola, you know, suggesting that most cases should end at the appellate court. So, but you can get more details of that on page 6. Still on Blueprint, let's look at more stories. Appeal court sacks Kaduna speaker. Others rerun in 5 polling units. Kano, 18 years after. Grand Cardis constitutes committee on to review amputation sentence. An Ondo man to die by hanging for hacking neighbor to death. Amazing. Sad, I should say.
Sad, yeah.
And that's all for Blueprint newspaper.
All right, to this day newspaper for today. And FEC approves 27.5 trillion appropriation bill for 2024 and revises exchange rate to 750 naira per dollar. Oil benchmark now $77.96. OK's $1 billion AFDB concession loan. OHIOLEI-led tax reforms committee briefs FEC, and Council approves Nigeria's draft human rights report to the UN. Tinubu presents 2024 appropriation bill to National Assembly tomorrow, that's Wednesday. And Abbas, as Speaker, will give Nigerians avenue to participate in budget process. All right, and moving on, citizens' confidence in judiciary, best way to measure success of judicial institutions. That's coming from the CJN. Citizens' confidence in judiciary, best way to measure success of judicial institutions. Now, the question is, so do the citizens have that confidence? A great deal of them, they still have that confidence in judiciary based on what's been happening for a few months now, especially as elections are concerned. Rider says AGF task NJC on appointment of Supreme Court justices. And then Edo Deputy Governor declares Guba bid, says no one can stop him. That's from Comrade Philip Shuaibo, daring to go for the first position in Edo State come next election. By the way, hoping to succeed his boss, Godwin Obaseki. Moving on, Ariwola, unnecessary cases overstretching judiciary. We need alternative dispute resolution mechanism. Riders says nation can't import foreign laws to try local cases. Declare open last legal year. 6 full Supreme Court bench considers it worthy legacy to leave behind. And federal government charges NJC to fast-track appointment process. And Industry, Zenebank, French government signed MOU to establish subsidiary in France. Good luck to them. Kerry returns as NNPC's GCEL. Akinjelure becomes new board chairman. All right, that will be all from the front page of this day newspaper.
All right, we move straight to the Nation newspaper this morning. Let's see what stories are trending on the front page of the Nation newspaper. Akeredolu Ayedatiwa peace agreement heads for collapse. For the riders, deputy governors, loyalists pushing lawmakers to make him acting governor. I stand on Abuja deal, Speaker insists. FEMI, you'd remember that the president waded into this crisis and he appealed for peace on both parties. But as it is right now, it seems the deputy governor's loyalists are pushing for him to become acting governor of the state. Yeah. But then you may want to ask, when it comes to the issue of ill health that, lingers for a long time, what really does the Constitution say about it?
They all know, we all know, especially as time frame is concerned. Now, they're talking that this is political solution. You believe there is a political solution to say, guys, hold it there, everybody maintain status quo. But where does that leave the people of Ondo State?
Exactly, because it's all about the people.
The mandate is ill. Fine, best of luck to him.
Nobody is against that.
Of course, the best of us are still, are still humans. You understand? Nobody is immune to that. We are human beings. So something sets in sometimes, and then we have to take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
But do you have to use that, in a manner of speaking, to hold on to power unnecessarily when it's evident possibly what you're battling is not giving you the opportunity or the chance to do the work? And then the man that's supposed to be the acting governor is not given the power to do that. That's the deputy. So the man is just hanging in there. And, possibly his supporters are saying, you know what? His Excellency as deputy governor, go for what is rightly yours as far as the Constitution is concerned. We have any political solution to that. But where would the political solution, this political peace that's been talked about, how is it happy? People of Ondo State.
And, this brings to mind what the former president said I think a week back, where he says that the kind of democracy we practice in our country should be fashioned or tailored into the kind of people we are. Because in this part of the world, we see leaders hold on to power. Like it's their second skin. They don't want to let go, even when issues beyond
February
their control.
2025 is far away, because that will be the end of his tenure according to the law. February 2025. So next year is election year. I mean, election preparation year in Edo and Ondo State. And that's why you're having some of these things happening. The man has been out of Ondo State for quite some time. Outside the country, he came into the country, he's in Ibadan. And so he hasn't come to Ondo State. Many persons are wondering, Arakuni, can you please take care of yourself and your health and let governance continue?
But of course, our prayers are with Arakuri Akeredolu. Forgot to give him speedy recovery. Away from that, banks ready for recapitalization and the Nigeria Air project for review. Nigeria Air project
international
for review.
The Global Air Nigeria. Or Nigeria Air, rather.
There are a lot of things in this country that we need to get right. I remember the controversy that surrounded the Nigeria Air at the tail end of the last administration. But today, it's been swept under the carpet like nothing happened.
We've moved on.
We've moved on.
I think that's the word that comes to mind. We have moved on. Like
billions of naira just gone down the drain like that, and no one is asking questions.
I think maybe he's being brought up again.
We hope so. Top strip of the Nation newspaper this morning. Shaibu, I am intimidated. My allocation ceased. Deputy Governor joins 2024 race. And Supreme Court will get full 21 justices. Ariwola pledges reduce cases at Apex Court. And here in Osun State, we did 90 kilometers of roads in 1 year, says Osun government. Adeleke on holiday in Thailand. And Tinubu orders massive. I'm trying to get that correctly. Tinubu orders. Okay, I'll just skip.
Massive fixing of federal roads.
Okay, massive fixing. Thank you so much, Femi. Massive fixing of federal roads. Reports bad roads via dedicated phone lines. And National Assembly under pressure over 2024 budget. President to present 27.5 trillion naira appropriation bill tomorrow. That's all we have on the Nation newspaper.
Of course, you're forgetting the picture of the Oba of Benin himself.
Yes, and
the Lagos State Governor.
The Oba of Benin has been in the news lately.
And everything that came with that conversation.
Yes, he has been in the news lately. And, what he said about the administration of President Bola Tinubu, that it's God ordained. It has generated a whole lot of controversy on social media, especially X. Because, the Oba of Benin, I'm not talking about his personality now, I'm talking about his office, has been known over time to be silent politically when it comes to political issues. Now, people are hearing him speak, especially,
but he doesn't do that often.
But what he said, really, it's not really tilting, or he's not being partisan, I want to believe. I just feel he's just saying that, people voted, this case went through the tribunal, straight to the Supreme Court, and he's still in the office, so maybe it was meant to be. But trust Nigerians, they are really saying a lot on social media.
And the controversy about the Benin people, founding Lagos. That conversation was a lot yesterday.
That conversation has actually been for a long time. It has been, and it's always causes
it's for the custodians of our heritage, tradition, and culture to speak to. Who are we to speak when the Oba of Benin speak?
We would have that conversation one of these days.
All right, moving on. The Punch newspaper. Tinubu presents budget Wednesday. Fake. Okay, it's $1 billion loan. Interesting one there. I'll just leave the writers. It's something we have. But one says, Speaker, opposition lawmakers assure Nigerians of proper budget screening to grill ministers. You can say my emphasis. That's something more like a joke. You want to forgive me for that. To grill ministers, and then you're wondering, National Assembly, grilling ministers, and budget, what God cannot do truly doesn't exist.
Keep your hopes up, FEMI. Anything is possible.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why they are being paid to do their job. So maybe they want to do their job.
Tomorrow is almost there. We then see when the ministers and ministries, MDAs, directors will be coming for their budget. We'll be here live and well. All right. And President swears in 8 permanent secretaries, presides over FEC meeting. That's good to know. And Ondo lawmakers meet today, may declare that they were acting governor. We wait to see. Walker dies, 2 injured at Lagos construction site. That's a sad one to hear. Sean gets staff of office December 16, called hot removal. Right, and top 3, attack on judges. Public sentiment can displace the law. Attack on judges. Public sentiment can displace law. That's coming from the CJN and the NBA. And best to succeed Obaseki, Shuaibu declares. And Tinubu names Akinyelure, NNPC chair, reappoints Kyari as the CEO. That will be all from the front page of the Punch.
All right, very quickly, we move on to Daily Independent newspaper for this morning. Revealed how dispatch error landed Abuja-bound flight in Asaba. NCAA suspends wet-leased aircraft in United Nigeria. Aviation regulators action in order, says expert. Femi, you remember the drama that happened where these passengers were going to Abuja and they found themselves in Asaba. You know what they say?
Not just that they found themselves in Asaba. They were even announced
to be in Abuja.
By the way, they're in the Delta State capital.
You know what they say? Someone would say, a friend of mine would say, maybe God has a reason why they're in Asaba. Yeah. Maybe someone ought to be in Asaba, but, just like Jonah, where God told him, go to Nineveh, and he says, no, I'm not going there.
I'm not sure maybe there's any Mr. Jonah or Mrs. Jonah on that manifest.
Maybe the aircraft is now the fish that God, allowed to swallow Jonah and
thank you, Evelyn, for that. Nineveh. What is Spain? Nice one.
Okay, away from that, protest rocks Kano over appeal court judgment on Guba election. More details on page 29 of Daily Independent. Government to install 3.23 billion naira explosive narcotic detection devices in 5 airports. North Central Region bemoans Tinubu's treatment of a zone. Tinubu reappoints Mele Kyari as NNPCL CEO. Basic school enrollment in Nigeria hits 45 million. This is according to UBEC. And federal government raises 2024 budget to 27.5 trillion naira, presents it to NAS tomorrow. We have that particular story on all newspapers under review this morning. And in red at the bottom part of Daily Independent newspaper this morning, Israel-Hamas truce in Gaza extended 2 days on the deal. Get to page 6 for more details of that. And moving to the top now, citizens' confidence in judiciary, best way to measure success of judicial institutions. This according to CJN. And AGF tasks NJC on appointment of Supreme Court justices. Edo Deputy Governor declares Guba bid, says no one can stop him. And it's worthy of note that he has indicated interest to contest this election under, the People's Democratic Party. But then he still has to cross through the hurdle of the primary before he becomes a candidate. For now, he's still an aspirant, and all fingers are crossed as to what drama will happen in Edo State. Will Governor Godwin Obaseki give his blessing? Wait to see.
Yeah, of course. And I want to believe that's the where we put the brakes on the segment. But what is going on in the Middle East? Israel-Hamas truce in Gaza extended 2 days. on the deal. This sounds interesting with the exchange of people, prisoners, on both sides, hostages being released. We just hope there will be permanent solution.
But the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said this is just a pause. This is just a ceasefire.
After everything, the war continues.
Not like the war has been put. No, he said the war continues, but this is just a temporary pause for this exchange. But then we hope that a permanent solution is gotten and peace comes to these countries, because really people are dying, people are getting displaced, children, women, and it's not good enough.
That's it. Many collateral damage, has happened there. We move on to the conversation. That will be about the state of the Nigerian nation, the education, the judiciary, electoral reform. We'll try and touch as many things that we can. And that will be after this break. We will be joined by an erudite scholar, a university student. You just hang in there to meet him, and then we'll continue with the conversation. But that will be after this break. Stay with us.
Turn it up! It's the Wild Wild West, and Western Spring Television is pulling out all the stops to make sure that you don't miss out on every of the fun and happenings around you. Yup, we've got you covered because your girls got all the juiciest tidbits and entertainment news from around the world. Cross over to the chocolate side of entertainment. Join me, Chocolate Cassie, on Eccentric as we take you into every bit of the juiciest news, fashion, music, movie updates, and other trending conversations. Together on the show, we'll get personal with your favorite celebrities via phone call, Zoom, or even live here in the studio. Eccentric will be shown on your TV screen on Western Spring Television, channel 190, only on StarTimes.
Elephant, Ijo, in love, Nzo. We can be so proud that we have one of the healthiest populations of African elephants in the world. But they are not easy neighbors, and we must work to help communities live in harmony and benefit from our wildlife heritage. Learning to live with wildlife can benefit us all.
Nigeria once had giraffes, rhinos, and cheetahs, but we have lost this iconic species forever. And we may lose our lions, elephants, and gorillas too. Be iconic and join me to protect our wildlife. Report wildlife crime and say no to illegal bushmeat, because poaching steals from us all.
Samuel Ladoke Akintola was a frontal figure in the historical moves that birthed an independent Nigeria from colonial Britain. As a freedom activist, he deployed his wits, energy, intellect, and oratory skills to prepare the grounds for constitutional talks that eventually culminated in the country's independence in 1960. The 13th Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò of Yoruba land cut his teeth as a politician when he became a foundation member of Action Group, the dominant political party in the Western region, and was elected the party's parliamentary leader of opposition at the Federal House of Representatives. The crisis in the Action Group, which pitched Samuel Ladoke Akintola against his leader, was not only a sore point in his colorful political life, but a reversal of gains which characterized the exemplary leadership of Awolowo Akintola premiership. 23 years after his death, Oyo State University of Technology Ogbomosho was renamed Samuel Ladoke Akintola University of Technology to keep his memory alive. Western Spring Television identifies Samuel Ladoke Akintola as a major character in history.
All right, you're welcome back, and we will be talking about the state of the nation, really, what is happening at the education sector, especially the higher institutions, the effect of the mass exodus, now called JAPA system, the JAPA syndrome rather, what it has done and what it is doing to our education, you know, having people moving out in droves. You know, that on a part is hampering the transfer of knowledge, you know, in our universities, in our polytechnics, our higher institutions of learning. And then there is this thing about the bottlenecks around the IPPIS as, you know, some of what is causing, and many persons are saying, what, we can't deal with this, we'd rather find a level, you know, in a manner of speaking, somewhere else. And then the judiciary matters arise. And the Chief Justice of the Federation, Justice Oluka Odeariwola, spoke yesterday at the opening of the legal year 2023-2024, and then where we had some senior advocates of Nigeria, new ones, you know, have put them in a manner of speaking. What's the language again now? They were being, is it commissioned now into nuisance, yes, into the judiciary, you know, by the way. But that's not, it's not about the stand or the opening of the legal year. It is about what he said. You know, he was even suggesting that we have too many litigations, especially election related. He spoke about maybe over 1,000 litigations that, you know, the justices have had to attend to, and that's one too many. He suggested maybe there will be other, you know, measures of settling dispute, and even suggested that maybe some cases are just terminated at the appeal court, at the appellate court level, so that it doesn't have to get to the Supreme Court, because these cases are one too many. And what many persons have talked about the judiciary, purported corruption in judiciary, and what a very esteemed member of the bar, a former NBA president Olumide Akpata, said at the IBA, where he said he called it the capture of the judiciary. We'll be looking into this and more. The economy and what politicians are saying right now. Either President Buhari, you know, handed over a very bad economy or a dead economy or economy comatose to President Bola Tinubu. And many persons are saying, some of you guys that are speaking now were with the former government as well. So how come you are saying these things? Now, many things we'll be talking about. And we are being joined right now by University Don, a scholar by excellence. He is Dr. Adetunji Ogunyemi. Dr. Ogunyemi is a lawyer, a public affairs analyst, an associate professor of economic history at the University, Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife. Dr. Ogunyemi, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Thank you. Good to have you here. All right, let's go, because we have quite a ground to cover this morning. Let's start from your, you know, if you are speaking about COPA, you call your PPA, your place that you are very, very comfortable talking about education right now. And the JAPA syndrome, the effect, when we begin to reel out statistics and figures, we might not just be able to, you know, to finish reeling it out. You are in the saddle. You know what is happening, because that's one thing that you do daily, and you are doing so well. The effect of the JAPA syndrome, the exodus of the knowledge economy, that's what I call it, the people with the skills. And this is hampering. We have heard that this is really hampering what is really the spate of education, especially in our higher institutions of learning. Just to state it there for people that are listening to us, we learned that ASU at the Usmanu Danfodio University, Sokoto, said about 100 lecturers had left the university, while the union at the Federal University Gusau, Zamfara State, disclosed that the institution was in need of about 1,000 lecturers to fill the vacancies created by those who had left. The union at the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, Ogun State, said over 350 academic vacancies were available at the institution, and 27 lecturers had left to faculties at the University of Lagos. 100 workers at the University of Uyo traveled out of the country, and the case possibly might not be too different from your own institution of learning, Obafemi Awolowo University. Dr. Ogunyemi, how bad is this situation, and what are we dealing with?
Well, I will just let you know that it is very bad. The situation is very bad, and our colleagues are leaving. Not much because they do not like their country, or they are not patriotic, but because three factors. The first is that it is financially unsustainable to continue to just exist under the Nigerian remuneration system, particularly through the IPPIS payment platform. For any professor to be barely surviving on 420,000 naira. And that is a professor who has taught for a minimum of 30 years. So younger colleagues who are actually the real instruments of that at the level of lecturer 1, senior lecturers are leaving the system. Coach people who are above 50, 60 may remain because they are it's either they have little choices in terms of having to raise their children within this climate, or they are stranded. Actually, a lecturer that is not leaving Nigeria now is either that is stranded or is too old to leave. And then the second reason it has to do with the way the federal government treated academics in the last strike. Very dishonorable. Even in my own department, we have just lost an academic trained at huge public expense, trained and with huge experience of the university. She has left. And we have people leaving, I tell you, every day. I don't want to frighten my students, but my colleagues are leaving every day. The third and the final reason is the issue of Nigeria's very poor research environment, which is the equipment, the reagents, and the conditions attached to it. It's not everything that is money. Even the conditions of your service, your office space, the way you teach your students, where you teach them, all these things matter. Now, when colleagues go out and they see comparable things, even in African countries, such as, you'll be surprised, Senegal, the Gambia, Namibia, South Africa, things are far, far better. So they have decided to be living in droves. And you know what? They cannot be placated because of the disrespect that they suffered under the former Minister of Labor, Dr. Ngige.
All right, Doctor, I would like to ask because you mentioned that currently a university professor earns about 420,000 naira.
Not about 420. That's what he earns.
Okay, earns 420,000 naira. Now, tell us, what should be the accepted remuneration for these academics?
It is something that is not less than the equivalent of $1,500. Yeah, because our colleagues' remuneration elsewhere, even in an African country, And as small a country as the Gambia is the equivalent of $1,200. Even in the Gambia, total population 2 million. The total size of the economy of Gambia is only $300 million. They pay their university teachers, associate professor, the equivalent of $1,200.
All right, so you're saying about $1,500 naira, $500, I beg your pardon, should be
that's about 1.5 million naira.
1.5 million naira for a professor in Nigeria.
Yeah, that is the least that you can do for him now. The least.
But doctor, how sustainable is that if the government actually gives this amount of money to a professor?
Utterly, absolutely sustainable. If universities have autonomy in respect of their finances, they can charge fees, they can vary fees, they can suspend some, they can include some, and those that are so indigent can, by the reason of public interest, be sponsored through scholarship by their respective state governments. It is doable.
All right, you know, I appreciate the fact that you already talked about university autonomy, but before we get into that, Doctor, the exodus of our university dons outside of the country, what dangers does this portend for our system, especially for the educational system in the country?
It is for the lecturers themselves an advantage. They will acquire new skills, they will acquire new equipment, and they will earn more. And they will be part of the diaspora remittances that will be sending money to Nigeria. So it is not all negative. Nigeria will earn as a result of their living. Nigeria will earn a lot of money because they will remit money home to their respective families. That's huge. And then the second one is that Nigeria will lose fundamentally, particularly those who went to school on public course, those that were sponsored, those whose PhD were sponsored outside of this country, particularly by the ETF, Education Trust Fund. It's a huge loss. I have agonized over this times without number. I have written memo to different parts of the Nigerian controlling bodies, the NUC, the Education Committee of the House of Representatives, to do something about training a person up to the level of a PhD, and that person decides to japa, as they say now, decides to leave the country. To me, I see it as I see it as desertion and should be treated as a crime. But those who were not sponsored, and these are the majority, 80% of them sponsor themselves. For example, I did not go to school on any government scholarship or any sponsorship or any payment whatsoever. And I paid more than 1 million naira to the University of Lagos to do my PhD. So, and this was in the 90s. So now I can leave the country without any moral qualms. But both of those who were sponsored by the government is going to be a huge loss to the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The third thing is that I tell you with the authority of my honor that the Nigerian educational system will collapse. Maximum 5 years. Because even politicians are establishing more universities. State governments that are yet to adequately fund the university that they have established are establishing more. With no fiscal capacity at all, no idea at all as to how to bring up those universities. A good example is Ondo State, that has a state university in Akumba, another medical university in Ondo, proposing to turn the Polytechnic to a university. I mean, Osun State, that is highly revenue challenged, barely able to pay salaries. She too is establishing an extra university in Ile-Ife. So where will this government get the personnel that will teach in this university? It is a nightmare, at least to me.
Okay.
As a patriot.
Yeah. Doctor, you made mention, and that's why I want you to be very categorical that for persons who possibly have seen themselves through schools by funding themselves, or have their parents do that, you don't think they owe the country any sense of patriotic standing to say, you know what, we are sticking with this country, in as much the nation has not really contributed anything to the knowledge they have acquired over the years. But then you spoke about people that they have been supported by the government through the years, and to the level in which they are now deciding to japa out of the country. You said you see it like a desertion. Desertion in the army is a serious crime.
Yes, it's a crime.
Is it really, is that comparison the right one?
Yes, of course, perfectly. Perfectly. And any VC, any vice chancellor who refuses, will neglect, and fails to apprehend such a matter as desertion is suffering from dereliction of duty. And it is my fervent hope that such a VC be removed. Because you cannot be trained at, you know what ETS spends per year on a PhD person that is sent abroad? 3 million naira. And his salary will continue to run here simultaneously. Even as a student abroad, they will still be paying his salary. He finishes 4 years, maybe in the US, maybe in Canada, maybe in Germany, and he comes home to resign. What a shame. I think it is the failure of morality in that area. That is desertion. The minimum number of years you should serve after you have been sponsored by the Education Trust Fund is that number of years equal to the total years that you were sponsored abroad. So if you were sponsored for 4 years, you return home and serve for 4 years. Then you will be morally strong. You will be also legally strong to say you are living after 4 years. In any case, they sign bonds.
Yeah.
And some people stand for them in the bond that they shall return to their work. Where are the VCs lacking in political will to apprehend them? I give salute to the Lagos State University that are stating those people deserted it to court to retrieve the money first and then declare them to be on a roll. That's how I see it. My colleagues don't like this view, but this is my firm view, and it is legit. Because to me, it is steady.
To be paid for by, to be supported by a system, to be funded by a system.
That pays you up to about 30 million naira for training.
And then
across 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And then that system is still paying you your salary during those years. And then you come in and resign.
That should be a discussion. Yeah. But
this is just about 20% of the problem.
Yeah.
The remainder 80% is those who have been in the system. It is the 80. They have been laboriously serving the fatherland. And then you withdraw their, you delay their salary, you don't pay them well. Then you also decided to deal with them by disrespecting them. So I think what Dr. Ige did as Minister of Labour, the effect in the next 10 years will be incalculable, utterly incalculable.
All right, Doctor, that's a very instructive one, because many persons talked about the labor relation, the labor minister's relation under the former administration, that's Mr. Chris Ngige. He never really had it good with many labor unions, including ASU and some other labor unions in the country. But then, talking about university autonomy, we learned that the federal government, they are muting the idea of having the reintroduction of the policy of university full autonomy. How visible, how possible is this? That's one. Then, Doctor, has it been done before? Full autonomy for university?
Nigerian university system. Okay, let me say this way.
Yeah.
Can government please be sincere when it talks about the issue of managing universities and granting them autonomy? Can they please be sincere? Autonomy of universities does not have to come only in the area of they appointing their VCs internally without any external interference. That's not the only thing about it. In fact, the real autonomy of universities is in being able to handle their admission. We admit students only purely on merit, not on the basis that the student is from Osun State. And that is why you get preferential admission into Osun State University. Why? Why should they? Why should they? Can you please go and pass very well? You take only the best of the best. That's the first. The second is charging fees that is reasonable. Not 20,000 naira to read law. 20,000 naira for reading law for 1 year. Maximum amount of money you pay to university for the 5-year law course in the federal university, 200,000 naira. Which amount of money you paid more when you were in secondary school? Can government please be serious? Because the truth of the matter is that the government will say, we want to grant you financial autonomy. But when it comes to charging fees, the government will get the code fees because it does not want the political backlash that this is the government that says they should charge fees. The National University Commission, the Academic Staff Union of Universities, the Federal Ministry of Education sat down in 2009 to determine what is the cost of educating students across disciplines. 2009. By 2010, they came out with a report. They said, for a student, just one student in the humanities, and this refers to art, social sciences, and law, they must pay nothing less than 350,000 for the university to be able to stay afloat. Sciences, 420,000. Engineering, 430-something thousand. And then medicine, 450,000. Not less than that. Can you please check out how much OU's students are paying? Before this current session, 36,000 naira to do medicine, to do dentistry. 90 naira for accommodation. 90 naira, you heard me well. And then we now added 3,000 naira to be able to clear the refuge, do some video services. The student protested. So, you know, it is 3,090 naira that they are paying for accommodation for a whole session. Is that reasonable? Does it make any sense? And if the university, look, our university in 2017 decided to charge 40,000 naira for what is called acceptance fee. If you grant your admission, you pay acceptance fee, which goes directly to the university. Not to any other people, straight to the university. The university is using this to manage its electricity supply. Because when you pay 70 million naira to Ibadan distribution company per month, 70 million. I want you to cross-check this, please.
Yeah.
So, the federal government ordered my VC, the highly respected Professor Ogunyemi, to return the 40,000 naira acceptance fee to the student, failing which it will be surcharged. And personally too. How about that? This is the government that is saying, we cannot do, we don't have money to university. We don't do this. But it's not being sincere by disallowing the university to charge the appropriate fees. Right. If any student pays less than 350,000 naira in any Nigerian university, and I say any, that student is not paying anything. Is not paying anything. Because that is the minimum irreducible to grant him or her quality education. Minimum. And that was in 2010. By now, the minimum would have climbed to nothing less than 500,000, if not 1 million.
All right,
that's the truth.
Doctor, I'd like to get your direct reaction to this, your you know, what you actually feel about this university autonomy. are you in support that the external influences from government should, be removed from the university and allow the universities to run itself? Are you in support of this before I move to my other questions as to...
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm in support of it. This is how I see it.
Yeah.
Because no university can stand at all without government support. None. Except of course private universities. And their proprietors know what they are suffering now. In fact, in the next 10 years, 60% of the private university, and this is a study done by educational experts, 60% of private universities will collapse. 60 will collapse.
Why?
Due to poor funding. Now, government in granting autonomy will take care of the recurrent expenditure. That is money in terms of salaries of staff and one or two urban facilities. But when it comes to capital expenditure, building extra buildings, doing the roads, putting equipment, putting machinery, let universities generate internally from a sundry of revenue sources to finance themselves. So that no university should be hard to complain that it does not have enough classrooms, that it doesn't have chairs, that it does not have enough reagents and other consumables like printers, toners, papers, etc., etc. So if we do this division of fiscal authority, fiscal strength, federal government handles the recurrent, universities have handled capital, then a significant level of fiscal autonomy will be devolved to the universities. So my take is that autonomy is good, it should be granted, and it should be granted now.
Doctor, are we ripe for university autonomy? And also I'd like to talk about the timing. Is the timing right? Because I remember when the president removed fuel subsidy on the first day of his inauguration, people talked about the fact that it is a good policy, but the timing is totally wrong. Talking about university autonomy, it's a good policy like you have established on the show this morning, but the timing, is it right? Because by the time university gets autonomy, they are now in charge of how much they charge per student, and we see students begin to pay huge amounts of money to get educated. Yeah. The people are still grappling with the harsh effect of the removal of fuel subsidy, and now we want to add the autonomy of universities to it. Is the timing right?
Considering our economy reality, yeah.
Well, I don't think that there is a time that is too early to cure a disease. When is it too early to start to do a chemotherapy? Is it too early to solve a problem? I mean, we may say that the regime of fees can be graduated and to move, not suddenly, but gradually across a period of about 8 years before the university recover full minimum cost from fees. I think we can say that. But to say that it is too early for them to start a regime of appropriate fee charging, I think it is taking it too far.
All right.
There's no time that is too early.
So
or it is not right. Absolutely right.
All right, Doctor.
Absolutely right. To begin now, from this time T.
All right, points taken, Doctor. Lastly, on this issue of autonomy of universities, what then happens to the NUC, commissions like the NUC and also JAM? What happens to, boards and commissions like this? Will they be totally scrapped, or?
I think they will now become superfluous or utterly moribund. Actually, what do you really think that JAM is doing in our lives? What do you really think that JAM is doing? Can't universities conduct their respective exams? Are they not people doing it now after JAM has conducted it? So, I think we should reduce the cost of governance by scrapping JAM. Utterly scrap the National University Commission. What is it doing there?
There's a Federal Ministry of Education. If it is about quality, the National Educational Research and Development Council can do it. And the Federal Ministry of Education, through its supervisory department in that education ministry, can also do the same. Why structure for a whole bureaucracy for that? Is there any reason for it? It is part of the insincerity. It's part of the insincerity. Was there a National University Commission in 1948 when Ibadan started?
All right. Yeah. All right, Doctor. You know, we can when we're talking about education, you know, it's an ongoing conversation. But then, for the purpose of this program this morning, we'll put that aside. Let's speak to the judiciary. You are a lawyer beyond just being a university don, and a Nigerian, a well-meaning one at that. The judiciary, you know, for the past few weeks, months, has been in the eye, you know, so to speak, of the storm. I know many persons have been talking about the influence of politicians, influence of the bigwigs on the judiciary. And, you know, in fact, at a forum yesterday talking about the CJN spoke at a special session that the Supreme Court held to mark the commencement of its 2023-2024 legal year and the swearing in of 58 new senior advocates of Nigeria. The CGN said he assured that despite the challenges and criticisms, the judiciary will continue to discharge its statutory obligations without succumbing to sentimental, what he called the voices of the mob. And, you know, many persons are saying, is it really the voices of the mob or what is really happening? And many things. Is further said, the law remains the law, no matter whose interest is involved. In all we do, as interpreters of the law, we should endeavor to sever the strings of emotion from logic and assumption from fact. You know, he was speaking to the judges, and this is coming on the heels of different judgment court orders that we have seen, and some lose confusing, you know, pre-election matters being decided after elections, months after the elections has been done, at the tribunal level, the appeal court, and the Supreme Court as well. So, in all of these, Dr. Ogunyemi, what do you think is happening to the judiciary? Is the judiciary under attack? You know, remembering what Justice Adetunji retired said about the corruption in the judiciary as well. What do you think of this situation?
Just answer your question.
Yes, first. Yes, please.
The judiciary is perfectly in order. He's doing his constitutional duty, and there is nothing wrong with it. Let those who are complaining bring out a specific instance, and then we will know exactly how to respond to them. I mean, I think it is just sheer outcomes for people to generally use a single brush to paint the judiciary and talk recklessly. I think I agree with the CJN, who call them mob. They are just mob. If it is about the electoral matter, is the judiciary not part of the electoral process? Can they please go educate themselves on the Electoral Act 2013? Can they please sit down and read it? The judiciary is perfectly, eminently part of that process. At any rate, any dispute arising for any matter, howsoever, under the sun, within the jurisdiction of the Nigerian state, by Section 6 of the Constitution, is to be interpreted, is to be adjudicated upon by the Nigerian judiciary. Full stop. Who is that medusa interloper that is talking recklessly and talking down on the Nigerian judiciary? They have no temerity to be spewing rubbish from their mouth about the judiciary. The judiciary is the most stable arm of government in Nigeria, and it is the arm of government keeping Nigeria solidly one. Can they please bring their strong points so that we can deconstruct it one by one? Now, if you have a case and you have a litigation, you go to the court. How dare you turn around to say that the court is determining who is the winner? Why did you go to the court? Did the court force itself on you? If somebody who said they have robbed him of his mandate went to a court, and before that court, out of the 176,000 polling booths in Nigeria, he did not bring a single person to testify in his favor that he won. And such a person He is also part of the people saying that the Nigerian judiciary is not doing well. How dare him? I challenge him to bring his strong points so that we can get him better.
Dr. Ogunyemi, would you also describe Honorable Justice Musa, the TJ retired now, and the former NBA chairman, Olumide Akpata, as a meddlesome interloper? Will you describe them as a mob?
They were politicians. They turned themselves into politicians because they lost out. I'm talking of Olumide himself. What Olumide was doing, of course, Olumide, a member of the Labour Party. It could be impugning the integrity of the judiciary now that he has benefited from it all the days of his life. And as he listens to the highest office, he could be doing that now. But about the highly respected Justice Datijo, his points are well taken. Perfectly well taken. But in the area of the political appointment, he said that it is not right for a part of the country not to have representative in the Supreme Court. Now, when they were doing the presidential election, one of the representatives from that part of the country died. Did anybody kill him? He died naturally. So if a person died in the course of a judicial process, will that be a fault of the Nigerian system not to appoint somebody from his own area? And is it in a single day that you appoint justices from a particular area? With due respect to Justice Datijo, does he know that he too is a beneficiary of the political representation in the Supreme Court from the North Central? How can you benefit from a system and then you turn around against that system when you are living it? I think some leadership should be exhibited. Besides, do you know that in the Nigerian Supreme Court, if we were to use merit, virtually all the justices in the Supreme Court will come from the Southwest if we were to use merit. Merit, I say merit. Look at the integrity of people like Justice T. Akinola, justice in the Gambia. Look at Oputa. Look at the right Honorable Justice Steve Malawale Alliance. Look at the qualification of justices like Kayode Shaw, Pihat Justicia West Kwelo. Will you say that if those people stand, that Tijo will be one of the people that will be ever be selected if we are using merit? Will he ever come close to number 1,000 after people like Justice Kayode Shaw is selected? Will he be close? But in the Nigerian system, the ludicrous system that we have written in our constitution, section 14 of section 2 and subsection 3, it says that we shall pick representatives from every state or a group of states, not on the basis of their merit, but on political representation to be in the Supreme Court. How dare a person who benefited from that begin to spool that kind of vilification against the Supreme Court when it was just living?
Doctor, are you saying that because someone benefited from a particular system, if he or she sees that system being corrupt, or if or he sees challenges in that system, he should not speak? Is that what you're saying?
The basic rule in law is that you cannot be approbating and reprobating at the same time. You cannot be a beneficiary of what you call quota system and you turn around to criticize that quota system. I mean, that's unbecoming, to put it mildly. So if you have a system, and the Nigerian Supreme Court is a system, you have a Chief Justice of Nigeria and is the head of the National Judicial Council, NJC, the apex body that can determine who is and who is not in the Nigerian judicature. Now, 21 are their members, and our own law, writes that the CJN, who is the head of the NJC, shall appoint 18, you heard me, 18 out of the 21, plus himself, it is 19 out of 21 people. Is that the fault of anything? Is it not in our law? Is it the fault of the CJN that he has power to appoint 19 persons in a place? Couldn't our Honorable Justice Datijo be criticizing the law itself rather than criticizing the justice is senior. I think some people should exercise restraint when they are in leadership and should not be playing to the gallery.
All right.
Due respect to Justice Adetunji.
Yes, you know, one would want to say, you spoke eloquently about some eminent personalities that have graced the institution or the judiciary, you know, Justice Kayode Shaw, you know, Justice Aguda, many of them. And, you know, Doctor, one would say, we have many of them to scatter around different regions. Justice Begori is not from the Southwest, an eminently qualified person. You spoke about Justice Oputa yourself. So beyond the Southwest, there are many other eminently qualified justices as well that have served at a time or they are retired right now. But for the benefit, Doctor, I'd like you to just hang in there. For the benefit of viewers who possibly didn't know what Olumide Akpata said, I'd like to play that clip for them to have an idea of what he said at IBA conference outside the country and which generated the controversy. Doctor, please hang in there, and then we take this clip, and then we continue the conversation.
Very correctly, is that it is a major problem that we are confronted with in Nigeria. And as Dr. Dimeli has pointed out to us very correctly, is that it is a major problem that we are confronted with in Nigeria. And Nigeria is the largest black nation on the earth. And what happens in Nigeria has major implications the world over. And so forgive us for fixating on this problem just for a little bit. Because we think that the IBA, being the global voice of the legal profession, has a role to play in dealing with what I call judicial recapture. Because while I was president, what I found out was that there is a deliberate attempt on the part of the political class in Nigeria to capture the judiciary. And that has very insidious, very invidious consequences for the rule of law in Nigeria. And it is deliberate, it is intentional, and it is achieving results for them. And what we find is that, firstly, from the point of view of appointments, as president of the bar, I sat on the interview committee for judges, and what I saw was bizarre. And as Tunde has said to us, that a good judge will emerge in Nigeria out of that process is by fluke only. Sheer luck of the draw, as it were. And we play Russian roulette with judicial appointments in Nigeria. It's ridiculous. And so we're hoping that the IBA would accept, don't take my gospel, or don't take.
All right. Dr. Ogunyemi, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. You know, that was Olumide Akpata speaking at the conference. And then, you know, it was the NBA president at some point, and he sat on the board of the NJC, and in which he said what he saw there at that time, he could only describe it as the capture of the judiciary. That, in fact, for anybody to emerge as a justice of the Supreme Court, using his word, it would just be by sheer luck or, you know, and that was what he was talking about. Now, for the person of his stature, you know, ignoring his political leanings now, one would want to say he knows what he's saying. He has been the NBA president at some point, and he sat on that commission. So, Dr. Ogunyemi, should we dispel what he has said just because he now has a political leaning?
What he has said is not strange to even a Part 2 law student.
Okay.
He has not said anything that is spectacular, special, or broken any barrier of intellect.
That there is an attempt to capture the judiciary?
There's nothing like an attempt.
That's what he said.
Olumide Akpata not say to his audience that that is law. Why did he not? That it is written in our law like that. Even he talked about capturing. I just told you 21 members in the NJC, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the rules of court, empower the Chief Justice to appoint 18 out of the 19 of the 21. And he himself is also a member.
Yeah.
You go to NJC, you are against the CJN, you are done for. You are in trouble. It's almost like a Leviathan, a dictator. But that's the law. Olumide
Olumide should have informed his colleagues that that's the law. So what he should be doing is to come to Nigeria rather than his campaign of calumny against the country outside to speak to his representative from his Delta or Edo State. I think it's from Edo State.
Yes,
to go to the National Assembly to seek for an amendment of that law. That's all. What did he say that was new? Any year 2 student who knows Nigeria's judicature will tell you that that is law. And there's nothing Olumide and his plan of blackmailers can do everything.
You call that blackmail? Is that blackmail?
Because it's an attempt to drag the Nigerian judiciary. And I think some of what you're reporting to the NBA for trying to drag down the Nigerian judiciary outside of the country. It is disrespect. Because the Council of Legal Education will take judicial notice when some of us complain against him. That's disrespect. Only we should have done that. Because that is law. In this country, the CJN is an emperor. Is an emperor. And how dare you speak ill of the CJN? How dare you? How dare you?
Dr. Ogunyemi, in your own opinion, you know what Olumide Akpata said in his own right, at a different, let's leave it. But in your own opinion, as Dr. Ogunyemi, a lawyer and somebody from Nigeria, a Nigerian of good repute, do you think that's the law? But do you think that is good for the judiciary to have somebody hold such a power? Is the law? We know it's there, but shouldn't that be changed? Do you think that's okay?
It should be changed, and I believe it is not good, and it has over-empowered the CJN, and it's turning almost like a dictator. Correct? But is that a discussion at the IBA, International Bar Association? Is that at the International Bar Association? Is that the forum? Couldn't Olumide, when he was president of the Bar Association, and as a result of that, automatic member of the NJC, have made his complaint to the Nigerian legislature for an amendment of that ludicrous law? Why did he now turn it into a campaign strategy outside of Nigeria to pour venom on the Nigerian judicature? Now, this is the same judicature that the whole of Africa is relying on to supply justices to Uganda, to Kenya, to Sierra Leone, to Liberia, to the Gambia. The Right Honorable Justice Chiakelaguda was for 12 years Justice, the Chief Justice of the Gambia. Testim Onawale Elias, one of our finest brains, was at the International Court of Justice. Because of him, they changed the law that if you serve for 7 years, you should go home. They changed it because of Elias, and he was able to serve for 14 years. He died while serving. Now, the integrity of the Nigerian judicature is beyond reproach. So let Olumide and his plan take it easy.
Doctor, talking about the integrity of the Nigerian judiciary, I'm sure you must have heard about, or you must have seen that judgment emanating from the appeal court on the Kano Guba election, which was a bit confusing because it had contradictory statements. One of the sentences or the statement on that particular judgment, resolved in favor of live issues of the first respondent against the appellants, the first respondent being the APC, All Progressives Congress, against the People Democratic Party. And in the next paragraph, in the circumstances, I resolve all the issues in favor of the appellant against the first respondent. And in the next, the preceding paragraph, we have, therefore, I find no merit in this appeal, which is liable to be and is hereby dismissed. The judgment of the tribunal in petition number, we have that details there, delivered on the 20th day of September 2023, is hereby set aside. And the last paragraph there on that particular judgment, duly signed by the Justice of the Court of Appeal, Mari Asaimo Abraham Adume, says the sum of 1 million naira is hereby awarded as cost in favor of the appellant and against the first respondent. Doctor, is this a scandal in our judiciary system? Because the registrar of the court said it's a clerical error, but Professor Chidi Odinkalu, who is also a lawyer, is a human rights activist, has said a clerical error, that is no clerical error. Clerical error is you saying you want to write Wi-Fi, W-I-F-I, and you write wife, you know, but these are statements.
Yeah,
paragraphs of statement duly signed by the Justice of the Court of Appeal. I mean, what do you make of this particular judgment? And do you think the judiciary should be scandalized because of this kind of judgment?
Your question is whether I consider it regrettable.
Yes.
And I said yes. My answer is that yes, it is regrettable. It is avoidable. It is a shame. And justices, though they are overwhelmed in terms of the sheer enormity, the volume of what they have to deal with, but they also can appoint assistants. And the assistants can be interns, PhD in law from different universities can be of assistance to them. And it is regrettable, really. Totally regrettable. It should not have happened because such errors are rather too many for one to believe that it is clerical. I think it is scissors and paste kind of judgment, which may stem from fatigue. And check out the officers who type these statements. How strictly educated are they? This is why we say in Nigeria that people should recruit the best and put them in position, and not put clerical staff just because they are their relations, their colleagues, or they belong to their religion. There are some people who will never appoint secretaries after their ethnic group. This is one of the effects. But of course, you know, the court registrar has come. It's not the registrar that is the author. The author of that judgment is the person who signed it. But the registrar is the chief secretariat staff. In any, and he has come to know this is a clerical error, and it is regretted. And the judge has also said the same. I think we should allow it to rest.
So, Doctor,
the only thing is that nobody who has been found to have done what is improper in this should be spared. And I think the NJC should also call the judge, the presiding judge, to order. But of course, it does not affect the judgment in any way whatsoever.
Doctor, so you are buying that idea that it's a clerical error. And of course, you just said that it doesn't change the fact of the judgment that was verbally given in court. But one would ask the question, which is superior, the certified true copy duly signed by the justice or the verbal judgment given in court?
Since the certified true copy originated from the judgment of court given in open court by the justices, the voice of the justices and what they have said, which is also on record, is the higher archival authority.
All right, and for many persons who might not be politicians, might not even be leaning towards any interest, but they are just interested to say, you know what, how much of a clerical error can this be? Dr. Ogunyemi, interrogating it further, you don't think there is more than meets the eye in this particular case?
First, how many of such clerical errors have you ever seen in Nigeria since Nigeria was created in 1914?
And that's why people are taking it seriously, Doctor.
President.
So that is to tell you that anything that man does, the possibility of an error and a fatal error is possible, including flying an aircraft, a Boeing 747, and through human error, you misland it, it crashes and kill all aboard. Will it be said that that human error is impossible as a factor in any human activity? And will that go to say that Boeing 747 is no longer a good aircraft?
All right.
So I think we should rest the matter. If the author of the judgment says, oh, this is not what I said, I did not do this. You know that at times some of these judges, they sign some of the judgment and the CTC probably at the lowest estate in terms of frame of mind. When they are sleeping or just without work or just fine, just go. Because they just want to get it over with. Right. Some of the judgments are about 680 pages. This judgment you are talking about is in excess of 400 pages. That's like a PhD thesis that some people write for 10 years. And the judge will do it in less than 90 days. And, and are we trying to remove the possibility of an error in it?
Dr. Ogunyemi, the judiciary, my lords, at different levels of the court, they're expected to be over and above. Of course, the enormity of the work is quite huge because we've learned sometimes they might have to write this judgment by their hands, and it takes a lot from them. But then that's why they are, they're expected to be over and above. That's one. And then the CJN, Justice Olukade Aruwola, yesterday at that program said that the litigation level, especially as it has to do with election matters, is too much. And it's saying maybe, just maybe, many of these cases should just terminate at the appeal court. What's your take on that?
I agree perfectly with his lordship, Ariwola. We had it before. We had it before 2010 in our electoral act. Governorship things during the time of the highly respected Justice Isa Ayo Salami. All issues dealing with gubernatorial elections ended at the court of appeal. It was the same politicians who are complaining now that removed that proviso and put in that it should ascend to the highest upstairs, which is the Supreme Court. They were the same. Look, politicians they are a species of human being that you can absolutely not rely on when it comes to honorable things. Not to rely on them for everything honorable. Because they will approbate and reprobate at the same time. They went and expunged it because it was serving their purpose. Because they hated Ayo Salami. Removed unfairly, removed unjustly from his seat. So, what are we talking about? If we now say, if the Chief Justice has now noticed, it has come to his judicial notice that it is becoming unwieldy for the Supreme Court to be handling almost 600 cases, all political, all about election, which is sui generis, and that a time should come for the Supreme Court to be moved from that babel of cases. I agree with you absolutely.
All right.
And the law is to be law.
Yes.
That a person who is challenging an election must be a person who has got at least 30% of the votes in that election. For example, what you will say is the business of NNPP challenging the victory of Tinubu. What temerity? What time wasting could that be?
Dr. Ogunyemi,
what is the percentage of votes that you ever got?
Yes, you spoke about the politicians, and there is a way you have coined that language. Said
they are the problem.
They are the kind of people that
it is not the justice, it's not the court.
All right,
they are the real problem.
Yes, I want to ask in a minute before we move to the other dimension of the conversation that how much of an influence are they wielding on the judiciary? How much of a pressure are they putting on the judiciary? Because we even learned over 1,000 litigation, to the court, and now it appears that the court are under pressure, the justices really, and in one, if I may have this categorical sentence, do you think the courts and the justices, are they overwhelmed with these pressures from politicians?
Of course, they are overwhelmed. And you will even find the already overwhelmed justices that some politicians in their respective houses of assembly are trying to remove because such justices are not doing well in kowtowing to their line. So some laudable things that some politicians are always doing. See, we are under the law. Section 292, with respect to removing a judicial officer, is there. It's clear. But the law is what the court says it is. Do politicians know that? They are reading law as if they are reading an essay. Law is not English. Because you have read English, doesn't mean you are a lawyer. You are nobody.
All right.
It is only if you are a lawyer that you can perfectly interpret a law that is written in English. Law and English are not the same. The fact that you are a law says this, that is not that law until the judge has pronounced on it. It is what the court says a law is that it is. Full stop.
Okay, before we move ahead, Doctor, talking about the influence of politicians on our justices, let me still take us back to, I have two questions, but let me just take us back to that kind of judgment. Is it a coincidence that the justice that signed that judgment, on which we have that conflicting statements from, is a nominee for the Supreme Court? Talk about Honorable Justice Mur Adume from Bayelsa State. Is it a coincidence? Because people are putting, doing their mathematics and saying this is more of a cash and carry judgment rather than a really true reflection of the law.
I will not impugn the integrity of any court. I will not join them. My training at the law school does not empower me to do that.
All right.
Because except I see the fact of the matter, I will never, never impugn the authority of the judge or his integrity.
Okay.
If a court has decided, the court has decided. If you do not like it, go to the higher court. If you don't like it, go to the highest court. And if the highest court has pronounced, can you please go home? Can you please go home and go and rest? That's the final word.
Okay,
it is not because that highest court cannot make mistakes, but if it makes mistakes, that mistake is the law.
Okay.
Is the new law.
All right, Doctor, you also talked about, when you are dissatisfied with a particular judgment, you can move to the higher court. But we have the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Olukayode, saying or proposing that most cases should end at the appeal court. Let's take electoral matters, for example. We have cases whereby the tribunal gives a judgment in favor of, let's say, the appellant now. Then the case moves, the respondent appeals the case to the appeal court, it moves to the appeal court, and the appeal court gives judgment in favor of the respondent, and the case moves to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court gives judgment in favor of the appellant. I mean, it's a zigzag kind of judgment, but should in case the cases end at the appeal court, then what is the fate of getting true justice?
Getting true justice, you said, is possible only through the instrumentality of law. There cannot be any justice within the Nigerian legislative and judicial system outside of law. Even when you go for ADR, alternative dispute resolution, it is also established by law. So ADR is also law. The only thing is that it is a softer form of law. Softer, but it is law. So there cannot be anybody talking about technicality. Technicality is law itself. It's like wanting goat meat without, and you want a goat meat from a goat that does not have bone. Where will you get a goat meat from a goat that does not have bone? You will not get it.
All right.
So technicalities are not themselves. For example, by going to court to say that this cancel the victory of this person, remove his vote because he falsely declared his age. Is that not technicality? You are not going to court to say, I have more votes than this other person, and therefore I'm the one that has been elected. But you went on technical ground to say, disallow him, cancel his victory, remove his millions of votes because he falsely declared his age. How does that answer the issue of, did you get the vote? Did you?
All right. All right, Doctor. Are you with us?
Yes, I'm sitting.
All right. Yeah, it's always a pleasure talking with you. Let's quickly look at the economy. You are an economic historian, and with what we have right now, many persons are complaining. Almost every person has one thing or the other to say, especially since the subsidy has been removed, the dollar, naira matter, skyrocketing prices, especially of food. And many persons who are even earning you know, in a layman kind of conversation, I think I was speaking with somebody and I realized how many persons have adduced to that to say a chunk of one's income now is now going on food, a very higher percentage just for you to feed and your family members and dependents. Now, the NSA, Nuri Badu, at a forum, you know, said recently and said the economy that the last administration of President Muhammadu Buhari handed over to President Tinubu, it's almost a dead economy. The Ogun State Governor, Prince Dapo Abiodun, said something a few days ago that it was an economy in comatose that was handed over. Now, doctor, are this the true position? That's number one. How many persons are saying, you guys that are speaking up now, you are part of the last administration, you are party members. How come you didn't speak up at that time? How come you are saying this now? Is this a strategy of, you know, blame game or just looking for soft landing, you know, for the big man at the Aso Rock? What do you make of that situation?
If Nigerians have made this statement, the first Nigerian, NSA, Nuhu Ribadu, another Nigerian, Dapo Abiodun from Abeokuta, if they have said the truth. But I disagree with you when you say they were part of the previous government. No, none of them was part of Buhari's government.
I mean, by virtue of party affiliation, I mean.
Oh, what does party affiliation of maybe, for example, a PDP person in those states has to do with the governance of Osun State? What does it? After Abiodun was governing a subnational government in Ogun State, and Buhari was governing a federal government headquartered in Abuja. How do they link? One hiding money, and another one headed by someone who is trying to do development for the people in Okemoson. But another one in the Abuja, lethargic, not interested in anything other than to just fill the position and do some nepotism. And you say they are the same. How can they be the same? So I think what you look for the 8 years of President Muhammadu Buhari, we did not have any governance. We think there was no governance.
That was what
I know that there was no economic governance. So it was, you know, the president did not hide his own verdict for himself. I mean, President Buhari. He said, see, if you say that I have not done very well, I've tried my best. Can you please go and try it yourself? The president said, and he said, when he finishes this presidency, it will be so far from Abuja that nobody can bring any problem from him. That he go and stay in Daura rather than stay in Kaduna. Is that not the statement of a self-declaration that he didn't do well? What else can we say about it? There's nothing to say. And finally, Godwin Obafemi, talking magisterial, is a financial expert from Benin, his headquarters there in the state. At one, even before these two Nigerians that you quoted said that this, they said, see, the way we are going, a time will come that within the next 1 year, we will dry out of finances. Obaseki said it, and it was not part of Buhari's government. So Nigerians won. Here on the platform of Ile-Ife, I cried to no avail about this issue of poor governance. It is still afflicting more than 20 states in Nigeria today. So what is it?
All right, Doctor. So the economy is bad. But I'll first like to talk about the fact that we have administration, governments, open governments come in, they kind of make a mess of the economy, and at the end of the day, they go back home and leave Nigerians to deal with the harsh or negative effects. How do we stop this, where a past president or a past governor makes a mess of the economy, then goes back home and say, you know what, I've done my bit and I'm going home, nobody should call me? I mean, Nigerians were angry, they were livid when the president made that comment. How do we stop this as a country from happening?
Very simple. First, let me say that I have no pity for Nigerians for that.
How so?
I don't care about their topic.
Why?
So what? They elected these people. They voted for them. Let Buhari come to Osogbo today. You will see crowd, drummers, music, shouting, Konsei Baba. They celebrate them. Nigerians are their own enemies. They elect those people who oppress them. Couldn't they have dealt with these people at the electoral ballot? Couldn't they? Couldn't they? But they failed. They refused. They neglected. And then they impose upon themselves a most calamitous government. So how can anybody say it is them? It is them for what? They won one election in 2015, hands down. And they won another election in 2019, convincingly. Nigerians voted. There was even a state that gave him about 1 million votes. How can that state in the north? I won't mention it. Now, how can the citizen now begin to complain that they are government? Suffer very well. Because you elected your own enemy on grounds of religion. For example, in Osun, people can say, oh, the governor is from the west. Our governor next must come from central. Such utterly unuseful, absolutely illogical arguments are what Nigerians are using to elect their leaders. And as a result of that, they will get their comeuppance. They will get the consequences to the fullest. Are there not better people that they could have chosen from? But they feel they do choose those people. They chose their own enemies.
All right.
Suffer it.
All right.
Doctor, let's look at this government of President Bola Tinubu. Do you think he's doing things right economically? Do you think he's taking the right steps to bring Nigeria back to a place of plenty?
And if I may add to
that,
if I may add to that,
I will not make any definitive comment on President Bola Tinubu's governance until after 1 year. That is when I will see the full picture. For example, I will see whether he will sanction Dangote for deceiving the whole country that his refinery will come on stream in September. I will see whether he do that.
You call it deceit.
I will see whether his refinery in Port Harcourt will roll 60,000 barrels this December. I'm waiting to see that. By May next year, I'm expecting that the Kaduna Refinery and Petrochemical Company will go on stream. If he fails to go on stream, we can hold him on that. These are the main issues. As far as what they are doing now, cleaning the audience table, trying to clean the mess that the lethargic president left for us, I have no comment. After 1 year, we can fairly and morally assess him. For now,
all right, Dr. Ogunyemi, two things as we cross home now. You called the Dangote refinery promising to come on board earlier in the year a deceit. How so?
Oh, because he promised the whole country. He took our money from the CBN, although $4 billion American dollars that MHCA gave him on concessionary ground to build his private estate and his refinery, which he advertised will refine about 1 million barrels per day. He gave the exact date, specific date. He made Buhari to commission it. And then he turned around and to declare that the commissioning and the thing and that what they are commission was not ready. Imagine deceiving the whole country, 200 million people, to put our hope on him. And he failed and he neglected. Such a person has committed a moral infraction and to be sanctioned.
All right, Doctor, you call it a deceit that you deceived the Buhari administration. One would say even the Buhari administration made it like a pride for them. Like it was an achievement for them. The president commissioned it before he left. So did he really deceive them? Or even the administration took it like this was one of the business enterprises that they supported and they were bold with it, although the thing hasn't come on board now. One, and the last question, as we go is this, you have said, and it's okay, that you won't make a categorical statement on President Tinubu's performance until 1 year. But Doctor, when on May 29th, when President Tinubu came on board, a measure, the one we call Mudu or Congo of rice, was around 1,001, 1,002. Today is 1,008. A dollar at that time, even the parallel market was around 700, 800. Today is around 1 to 1.3. Things have skyrocketed. On May 29 rather, a kilogram of cooking gas was around 500, 600 naira. Today is 1,001. Are things not getting bad?
Because you thought that things are getting bad because the prices are increasing.
Of course.
Very good. Which of these things that their prices are increasing do you produce in your country? Which of them? Are you refining fuel in this country? Petrol? Are you doing that?
How about gas?
When you talk about the value of the naira, if a person stops the deceit of the CBN, depending what is for, a CBN that we had about $40 billion American dollars in our reserve and used about 37 billion to be defending what the Yoruba will call Europe, was defending Europe. Yeah. So if a person now remove the Europe, the falsity, and you see the true picture of the value of the naira, where is the complaint there?
All right.
Look, what makes the value of a currency to increase is that you export more than you import. In Nigeria, we import toothpick. We import all manners of things.
All right.
We are not productive.
Yeah.
We don't export enough except petroleum.
All right.
So, how can you therefore expect that you put something on nothing and expect it to stand?
All right.
Where in the world you do that?
Okay.
You can only produce yam.
Yeah.
You don't produce pounded yam. And somebody who is planting pounded yam elsewhere, you go there to buy. And you that cannot do it, you are complaining that the price of pounded yam is high. How dare you?
Thank you.
Why can't you do your own?
All right.
Let your refineries work.
Yes.
And then the price may fall. May not that it will, it may fall.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure talking with Dr. Adetunji Ogunyemi. He's a public affairs analyst and associate professor of economic history at the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife. Thank you, Doctor, for your take and time.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate it. Thank
All right,
you.
Doctor.
Yeah, that's where we put the brakes.
A very
today,
robust conversation there with Dr. Adetunji Ogunyemi.
About the state of the nation.
Yes. Definitely, we will continue to interrogate these issues. We will continue to interrogate these matters until we get to where we are supposed to be as a country. Yeah. But today, this is where we draw the curtains, and we see you tomorrow for the midweek edition. Until then, ensure to have yourself a good and productive day. My name is EVELYN OHIOLEI.
All right, to the production team and everyone that has contributed to the success of this program, thank you. And to our esteemed viewers across the world, please do to follow us on our social media platforms, on X, on Facebook, and on Instagram. And of course, on our YouTube channel, we are live, and you can have a recap of this program as well. Our Western Spring Television, you have the address scrolling on your screen. Thank you for being a part of it. Just like my colleague said, God willing, we'll be back tomorrow. God bless Nigeria. FEMI Ojo is my name. Bye.
Bye-bye.